Hello, I am Endlessness and welcome back to Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and in this video I'd like to give you a guide for the floor B25 in the Brawl Tower event. I'm not making guides for every floor because we had Shiva, Leviathan or Hell House, and those battles were exactly the same as EX Summon Trials or Crash Rerun, but we had Bahamut EX battles almost a year ago, and this Bahamut has a bit higher defensive requirements, but the battle is exactly the same. So Bahamut is well-known boss, as I think a lot of us struggle to beat EX, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but he has no elemental weakness, no resistance, and we need utilities to debuff his attack and buff our own defenses, as well as a diamond sigil. But because he has no elemental resistances, that means you can use literally any DPS weapon on him and it will work. So that's all you need for this battle, and Bahamut is all about rotations and phases, but he does hit significantly harder, so ideally you want to have high potency buffs and debuffs. And if you don't have those abilities, then you'll need a bit higher defensive stats and a bit more HP. But both Matt and Aerith are amazing, and it just depends what you have for them. Aerith with Bahamut Rod is great here. Even if you lack Camera, then you can use Sun Umbrella to debuff Bahamut's defenses to hit harder. And this lack of Camera won't hurt you here, because I personally find it easier to equip another character with MDEF buffs, because you'll have an easier time to manage AEB for heals. But I'm going to use Cloud, Seth and Matt, with Matt being healer, but Bahamut Aerith of course works better. Vincent has the same kit as Sephiroth with his Hugin and Munin and S1976 C4 Kuja debuffs, and Sephiroth is DPS and debuffer, and Cloud is also DPS and buffer, but I thought I might use this opportunity to showcase both Sephiroth's Genji buffs and Cloud's Bahamut Greatsword, and how great it really is thanks to that additional damage as long as you keep him above 50% HP again. But I have many equipment slots empty and I only brought the necessary equipment, but of course you should equip your best weapons and materia that will just boost your stats the most. Matt has Gear Voucher outfit and Gigantic Shield for defensive buffs, Syringe and main weapon slot mainly for HP and PDEF buff, Cura and Orcu materia slot, but you could use of course Centipede as alternative to boost HP and heal at the same time, Bahamut summon weapon and secondary slot for that diamond sigil, and I also have his ultimate weapon, D-Faith, to debuff Bahamut's attack at the beginning of the battle, and another Cura for single target heals. Then in sub-equipment slots I have Baharot and Silver Collar for heals, and Guild Weapon for magic defense for all allies. Cloud has Bahamut outfit and any limit break or summon will be fine here. Bahamut Greatsword for DPS and Bandit Sword for magic defense buffs, and I also have his ultimate Buster Sword, and this material is just magic defense stat stick, but other than that I have no other equipment on him or sub weapons, so Cloud has only 3.3 physical attack. Lastly, Sephiroth has lethal stat outfit with any limit break will be fine, and you could also use Mega Flare here as well to just nuke Bahamut. Protector's Blade for DPS, but you could also use Shinra Blades as alternative, although it's a little bit weaker. Kuja for debuffs, and of course his Genji. And then in sub-equipment slots I have Power Soul for HP and Citric Wand for buff debuff extension. So Bahamut again, and before you do anything, wait till you have 5 AEB, because that's when Bahamut buffs his magic attack, and use D-Faith 3 times just at the beginning of the battle to help Sephiroth debuff this magic attack, otherwise he will not have enough AEB to cast it all by himself, but also use Sanctuary enough so both your buff and debuffs are at high potency, because this Mega Flare, it hits significantly harder than the EX2 one. And here you want to recover or start recovering your HP, but also if you can, squeeze in one attack before the countdown gauge appears, because it gives you a little bit more time for that, and you also have enough time to recover here, because you can wait and delay it a little bit, but not too long, because those countdown gauges, they go from exactly like in EX2, so from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and if you hit 1, then Bahamut will buff himself and start charging another Mega Flare, so it'll be exactly the same as beginning of the battle, but Flare Breath, it always debuffs your magic defense, so beware of that, and nullify that buff at the very least. And Umbral Strikes, you need to switch to defense, because they hit very hard, even if your magic defense is buffed. But don't worry about it. As long as he is debuffed, it's fine. But here will be another countdown. And you can always delay them a little bit just by sitting on AEB and not pressing as soon as you get 4 to cast a command ability. But like I said, ideally you don't want to hit 1, because you don't want to get hit by a Mega Flare. He hits harder, but he doesn't have too much HP, so he still goes down very fast. But also, by the way, I wanted to showcase Bahamut Greatsword, because it really is great, because Cloud has nothing, it's just 15,000 damage, but that extra additional 40,000 more, so he can compete. Nude Cloud, bare Cloud with nothing, no materia, no equipment, nothing. He can compete with Sephiroth with Genji buffs, without materia and all those equipment buffs. So that's why I thought they can be ideal here, because of course you can use any elemental weapons for DPS, but I find Genji is huge, as well as that Bahamut Greatsword for newer players, because that additional damage is insanely good. But here it's another Umbral Frenzy. It's exactly the same as Dive Bomb we just had, so all you need is physical defense buff and keep that physical attack on him. But because you'll get Diamond Sigil face soon enough, I will not use ADB to buff my physical attack defense to max potency, so I'll just use Gigantic Shield instead to keep that ADB and save it for the sigils, because it's a close face and you need to break those sigils. Yes, it hits harder because Umbral Frenzy also buffs his attack mid-animation, so you can't do anything about it, but don't heal. Wait for that sigil phase and then start casting, because yes, Bahamut will keep attacking, but he never attacks any of the character that was hit by that Umbral Frenzy, so don't worry about it, just interrupt him. And now you can recover and do as much DPS as you can, and also of course use limit breaks or summons whenever you have them available. You can save them for those countdown phases. But also Umbral Strikes, that's why, actually I kill him a little bit here too soon, but that's why you want to recover in that sigil phase. Don't ignore those heals, because even if he is close to being dead, he always casts that one Umbral Strike, and you don't want any of your characters to die just before the end when you need DPS, because when he's close, he buffs himself, does the countdown, and that's when this DPS race starts, because then his Mega Flare is instant kill. So that's why you want to have every character alive, at least your 2 DPS, to make sure that you finish him off. But yeah, that's the whole battle, and I hope you found this guide helpful. Also, the insight about Genji buffs being really amazing for Sephiroth, and Bahamut Greatsword is insanely good, especially for new players, because of that guaranteed additional damage. But I hope you found this guide helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next one.